Good evening, everybody. I greet you all humbly. Grateful to be sitting here this evening sober, to be in recovery, to have sobriety, to be surrounded by love, to have a roof over my head, to have a home meal to eat this evening, to share and love with other people out there as well. I hope you guys all had a lekker Orange Friday. It's Orange Friday to you all. I hope you guys are all, thank you Auntie Leslie. Grateful to know Auntie Leslie and to be around Auntie Leslie as well, you know. She's the mother on the farm here by us. Mother of the house. She shows us motherly love. First-hand experience that we have for us here. To acknowledge Auntie Leslie and her son David as well. May his soul rest in peace. He is in heaven. And for us in recovery, we are grateful that we never paid the ultimate price. But like Mr. Hall always says, yet. And I'm going to go on and tell you why the yet is there. Because that's the three biggest letters in recovery, is yet. So this evening I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. It's all based on the recovery. I'm not here to badmouth. I'm just here to speak the truth and say it like it is, you know. And how it is, and I'll put it into context of how it works with recovery. Hello everybody, I can see all the comments coming through. So I just want to speak about something. It's called self-acceptance. It's the topic for this evening. Okay? It says the lack of self-acceptance is a problem for many recovering addicts. This subtle defect is difficult to identify and often goes unrecognized. Many of us believe that using drugs was our only problem, denying the fact that our lives had become unmanageable. Even after we stop using, the denial can continue to plague us. Many of the problems we experience in ongoing recovery stem from an inability to accept ourselves on a deep level. We may not even realize that this discomfort is the source of our problem, because it is often manifested in other ways. We may find ourselves becoming irritable, or judgmental, or discontent, depressed, or confused. We may find ourselves trying to change environmental factors in an attempt to satisfy the inner gnawing we feel. In situations such as these, our experience has shown that it's best to look inward for the source of our discontent. Very often we discover that we are harsh critics of ourselves, wallowing in self-loathing and self-rejection. Before coming to recovery, most of us spent our entire lives in self-rejection. We hated ourselves and tried every way we could to become someone different. We wanted to be anyone but who we were. We wanted to be anyone but who we were. Unable to accept ourselves, we tried to gain acceptance of ourselves, of others. We wanted other people to give us the love and acceptance and friendship. The love and acceptance we could not give ourselves, but our love and friendship were always conditional. We could do anything for anyone just to gain the acceptance and approval. And then we would resent those who wouldn't respond the way we wanted them to. Because we could not accept ourselves, we expected to be rejected by others. By others, we would not allow anyone to get close to us, for fear that if they really knew us, they would also hate us. To protect ourselves from vulnerability, we would reject others before they had a chance to reject us. You can just get me that book. Okay. So you guys are probably wondering why I read that. Where does it stem from? Why is it my topic this evening? Based on personal experience, you know, when you step into recovery, it's easy to walk through the gates, to put down the drugs and alcohol, like it's said in the literature, is the easy part of it. The hard work starts, like for us, coming onto the rail farm is when you're on the farm. Because to put down any drug and alcohol is easy. You know? The hard work starts once you step into a treatment facility, as they call this. Because I don't see it that way. I see it as a place of healing and a wellness center for you to get yourself right and to grow close to God. Whatever your motive is while you come here and when it changes while you are here, cannot be blamed on anybody else but yourself. Yes, I'm talking to the guys that left here. Ryan, Graham, Kurt, Grant, and Michael. I'll mention names because I believe my name was also mentioned. And whatever happens in your journey while you are here, because remember, we all can't disagree on one thing. The fact that Mr. Hall, Mr. Anthony David Hall, is the best when it comes to addiction recovery. All of our sobriety time put together doesn't amount to any sobriety that Mr. Hall has. Because that man knows how to live sober. That's why he's still sober today. And it's very sad to see how those guys that I mentioned came into this place broken from the streets, had nothing. Even our families, I'm going to speak of myself also included, my family also never wanted me anymore, man. They didn't want to be around me the way I was. That Mr. Hall picked up that phone in that desperate time and invited me into his home, because this is his home. This is where he lives. Mr. Hall sleeps on a couch. That's how humble that man is, to give up a bed for the still suffering and struggling addict that comes through these doors. He's got a bed now. A single bed. Thank you, Auntie Leslie. But I have seen him sleep on a couch to give up his own bed for a still suffering, recovering addict that comes through these doors. Because that's how humble that and passionate that man is to help people. Now, I don't know why you guys are breaking Mr. Hall down. Why are you speaking bad about him? Because this is the same man that helped you. Yes, I'm speaking to you, all of you. That gave you recovery. And on top of it, empowered your life to work for him, to get a job out in town. And most importantly, to come here for your sobriety. Now, along the lines, your motive has changed. Maybe because... Sorry, I'm getting a call. Sorry about that. I don't know why your motive has changed. Or maybe I do know why. Because you know why? The gravy train has stopped. The gravy train has stopped. Mr. Hall has put things in place now here on this farm that allows to keep each and everybody sober here. With the guys in the program, with the sober living, and for the people that he's working for him as well. And I also work for him. And I also work for him as well. But I didn't come here for a job. I didn't come here for anything else that's added extra, you know.
Hello.
I came here to get my recovery and my sobriety, and Mr. Hall has given me that, and that I can't thank the man enough. That even as any normal human being would wrong me. And yes, maybe sometimes Mr. Hall has wronged me in a way, but he apologized all the time. Every time that he wronged me. Because I also wronged him. I was one of the people that left the farm here, that relapsed and went to my mother. Told my mother Mr. Hall relapsed, and that's why I can't come back to the farm. You know what my mother did? My mother put me out of the house. She put me out of the house. Do you know why? Because she knew I was lying. She knew I was lying deep down. Because the man can't be the one moment the best thing since sliced bread, and eventually your story changes just like that again. Then there must be something wrong. Not with the place, not with the person running with the place, but something wrong with the recovering or suffering addict himself. And that's where self-acceptance comes in. The denial kicks in of how deep this disease really goes. Because the gravy train has stopped. You know, for some guys, they had the best of Mr. Hall. They got a motor vehicle. They got paid a salary, a full salary by Mr. Hall. Yo, I don't know why Graham was speaking about him not seeing his family or Mr. Hall keeping him away from his family, because the last time I checked, Mr. Hall opened up his home to his girlfriend and his baby as well. Beautiful baby, beautiful girlfriend as well. Nothing against him at all. But Mr. Hall is not the type of man that keeps you away from your family. No, sir. The man is in here to reunite you with your family. That's what RAEL stands for. That's what Mr. Hall stands for. Because he has a mother that's laying not 10 feet away from him.
Yeah.
To be reunited back with her.
Yeah.
Why would he be so vindictive to keep you away from your family? His own home was open to your family. I've seen it. That your girlfriend slept in the room and your baba. Your girlfriend went to go sleep as well with your family by the doctor's place as well. The doctor opened up her home for that as well. So you mustn't lie about Mr. Hall keeping you away from your family, my brother. There's nothing about that. That's wrong. That's a false. I'll bring more witnesses to come and speak on about that, because there were people in the program that some of them are still here that saw that your family came onto this farm. So if Mr. Hall is keeping you away from your family, then he wouldn't invite your family to the farm in the first place. You know? I don't know. Work that one out for yourself, man. Work that one out for yourself. And then, for you also to mention, you know, about me and Angus wearing your clothes, Graham. I'm going to be blatant and straight with you, my brother. Kurt had an open sale with your clothing here on the farm.
Lekker.
He sold your clothing, the same bra you sitting with, taking photos with,
Ik het op
laughing with.
nieuwe
What did you get?
Converse.
A new Converse. Did you pay for it?
Nooit.
Okay.
Lekker.
But he had an open sale with your clothing here on the farm. He was the one that gave your clothing away. Not Mr. Hall, my brother. Okay.
Klomkleuren, jong.
It was a lot of clothes, young. And Michael was one of the people with the tracksuit pants you're referring to so specifically. Michael was one of the people that had your tracksuit pants first and gave it to me, my brother. But Mr. Hall didn't give away your clothing. In actual fact, if I remember correctly, Lincoln,
right,
just correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the arrangement made for him to come fetch his clothing and he didn't come?
Dat is correct.
There we go. So your clothing was stacked and packed and ready for it to be on the way, and you had permission to come and fetch your clothing and you didn't come. Hey, my brother, then your friend Kurt was the one that had open sale with the clothing on the farm. Not Mr. Hall, my brother. Apparently it was going to the veg fund money. I'm gonna wait that part. I'm gonna get there now, Lincoln. I'm very humble with this, what I'm saying here. Because the people need to know the truth, man.
Alright, yeah.
They need to know what really is going on here, because me and Lincoln is now the one sitting and doing the finances with Auntie Leslie as well. And we've seen things and gone through some things, and it's very disgusting for someone that says they are in recovery and doing a recovery program. Not even for someone that says that, for someone that is the CEO, to be doing the things that I'll mention this evening. That is in recovery like he says he is. And to have people also run with him on this whole bedoodle circus thing that he's busy with. Come on, Pastor, man. Come on, man. You know, I'm not going to get upset or too irritated. I'm just going to keep it very humble of what I'm saying. Because you guys need to... I saw these lives that they're putting out there and the stuff that they're talking about, Mr. Hall. You know, if Mr. Hall is really the man that you say he is, then why is he empowering mine, Lincoln's, Angus' lifestyle? Like he empowered your life also, because you came here with nothing, man. Do you forget that? You came here with nothing. You left here in a car. Hey? Is that the man that's trying to break you down or keep you away from your family? And then you still want to also say, no, the only reason why it's been given to me, it's to have control over me. Still doesn't want to control anything. No, my brother. In actual fact, all of us, I'll take all our inventory here, we're all lighties in Mr. Hall's eyes, man. We could never amount to the sobriety that man has. Do you think RAEL started because of the farm? Have you listened to his life story properly on what he did for addicts out there? 3 o'clock in the morning, getting in his car and driving to Lotus River, Lavendale, Parkwood, Grassy Park, Steenberg to give a 12-step. You that can't even stay a whole day awake and have a problem to do a small job here on the farm, you know? You can't even stay a whole day awake and give a recovery meeting. How can you say that, Ryan? I believe that you said that there wasn't enough recovery meetings.
See.
My brother, when I worked outside, I gave recovery meetings. You never attended them. I'm sorry if you didn't. That's your own recovery boot.
Yeah.
Because I gave a meeting almost every night.
It's part of the elite club.
It's part of the elite so-called club for you not to attend the meeting because you don't need to. I wonder if you're going to meetings outside now still. Because you were 10 feet away from a meeting, yeah. And if you're 10 feet not willing to attend the meeting, then you wouldn't attend the meeting outside as well. How can you say there isn't recovery meetings on the farm, my brother? Why? Because Mr. Hall has now taken another calling in his life to pursue in a political sense. Whether political or not, I still see Mr. Hall in the same being obedient to the calling of saving lives here, my brother. I don't see it as no political thing or nothing. Mr. Hall has been chosen by God and called by God to do what he is busy doing. I strongly believe that. And whether some people like it or not, they will always be naysayers. The enemy will always come and try and attack us, and he uses the people that are closest to us. So Ryan, you mustn't talk nonsense, my brother, man. I gave recovery meetings. Lincoln gave recovery meetings. I gave 12-step meetings on this farm. I still give 12-step meetings on this farm. Just answer there, Lincoln.
Hello?
So I mean, like, for you to make a statement like that there's no meetings, and when Mr. Hall comes back after he's done his work outside, when he comes back, because I'm gonna get onto the traveling part, it's a very, I'm gonna hop onto that, you know. I'm gonna get onto that part because I mean, like, it's a recovery center, man. And you yourself could have given a recovery meeting also if there wasn't recovery meetings, yeah. You know, Mr. Hall can't do everything for you. There's a responsibility that falls back into your hands as well. The biggest mistake that Kurt and Ryan did for themselves was to take this on as a job and not as a recovery. I don't see this as my job. The moment I see this as my job, then nah. Because Kurt lost interest in this farm. I'll say it straight like it is. So did Ryan as well. Because they became too greedy in other areas where the disease started manifesting, to be greedy for kroon, money. I'm talking about patients' money that came here for recovery that got stolen by the people that was in charge here. Did you know that part, South Africa? So before you listen to these naysayers and them lying like they are, if you listening to them and taking on and believing the crap that they are talking, then I'm sorry that you're so small-minded to think that way, because I don't see them having 16 years of sobriety to have the integrity and the humility to acknowledge where they are wrong as well. Mr. Hall didn't force anybody here to go to a casino. He didn't force me. He didn't force Lincoln. He didn't force Auntie Leslie. He didn't force anybody here to go to a casino. Because why? You know, no? You just want to speak about casinos. What man takes you at a casino and what? When the kroon was coming your way, when you must almost make money or whatever, when you were getting cashed out, then the casino wasn't a problem, man. Hey? Then it was most lekker gravy time. Milking Mr. Hall out, taking the kroon. Until there was no kroon, Lincoln, and then Tank went into the parking lot and cried in the parking lot and found his mother to send him money because he's hungry, because he gambled all his money out in the casino. That's without using drugs and alcohol that made his life unmanageable. But he can't blame Mr. Hall for that, because Mr. Hall didn't force him to do anything. And then afterwards, Tank came back here to the farm, and because of him making stories up about Mr. Hall, that's why Mr. Hall took his car away from him. He entered what's that program called? The Humble Pie program, yeah. Like I entered the Humble Pie program, Lincoln entered it. We all went through the Humble Pie program here in leadership as well. Because sometimes you must be humbled also because you can get bigger than the game. And the moment you get too big for this game will chew you and spit you out. Now, I don't wish, I saw people saying on your live that they're waiting for you to relapse. I don't wish relapse on anybody in actual fact. No, man. It's like me wishing death on people. In actual fact, I just want to see people make it also, man. You know, I got nothing against him, but if you're going to speak bad and make up lies, and obviously, man, and then still speak bad about me, Angus, and Lincoln at the same time, no, my brother, man. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. So I think you guys are cowards, man. To leave the farm the way you did. To not shake Mr. Hall's hand. Say thank you for everything you did, sir, but I don't think this job is for me anymore. I can't do it anymore, sir. And then Kurt still tells me, I don't think Mr. Hall would have let me go just like that, AD. I mean, my brother, what do you mean by that? Because the last time I checked his, didn't he plant money into my mother's gift? And I went with it to Cape Town, and I right on to Leslie? That weekend I went to Cape Town, there was money of guys that are in recovery in the program. There was money in my mother's gift bag. Put in the bag. I went home for the weekend because Kurt knew the pot was getting hot because stock take was being done. Because the suspicion of theft was happening on the farm, and Mr. Hall was correct. Because there was a lot of theft happening on the farm. And that's what makes me so disgusting. To get paid a big salary. To get everything from Mr. Hall. And not pay rent. And then you still steal from people that are trying to get their lives right here. That is sick, man. That's disgusting. Hey? To milk people out, there was over 5,000 rand of money into that bag of a gift that they gave to my mom. My mother loves the gift, thank you. Nothing against that, that's okay, it was a birthday. But to wanting to plant it on me as if I'm the one that's gonna steal, and then still plant in my head, look here, AD, if you're gonna come back on Monday, Mr. Hall is gonna put you off the farm and you're not gonna have a job, because that is what was told to me by Kurt. He's gonna put you off the farm. And my exact words was to him was, whether he puts me off the farm or fires me or lets me go from a job, that's fine and okay. I will still live on that farm. I'll still come back and I'll still do what I have to do. Because I'm not here for a job. So whose spiritual condition is where they're at, you know? I know where my spiritual condition is at. I know what I'm sensitive to. So therefore I have to work my program with vigilance. So if Mr. Hall decides, whatever Mr. Hall decides and makes a business decision, then it's a business decision. There's nothing personal against it. But I love Mr. Hall. I love what he done for me. And like any normal human being, he has his faults and his wrongs, but that's okay. Because he's got more good to him. In actual fact, he's got so much good to him that I sometimes have to tell him, Mr. Hall, whoa, man, it's too much good. But that's how passionate that man is about people. It's the same man that you were praising a couple of months ago, Kurt, Graham, Ryan, Michael, Grant. I'm not even going to speak about Michael also, because how many times was the door open for you, my brother, to come back here? Hey? And you think it's all about the kroon. I think Mr. Hall can buy his own Wendy's. Is that what it's about? I don't know. This materialistic things that you are fighting about doesn't make any sense to me. Because it shows where your hidden agenda and your motive was for coming to the place. Aren't you just happy with the fact that you walk away with sobriety, knowing from where you come from, the streets, having nothing? Your family didn't even want you. Mr. Hall opened up his door to you. Eh? He treated all of us good. He still treats us good. And I'm getting upset and angry about it. Because you took a good man for a pop. And you think you're going to get away with it. But you're messing with king's kids. That's it. Bottom line. You good people. That's fine. I know. You tried your best. You worked your recovery to the best. There was some things about you that I liked, that I wanted, that I took, that I'm working on. But I cannot take out this lesson the way you guys left this place, man. Because everything that you guys worked yourself up to the point to leave the way you did, shows where you are at in your recovery. And you have to. I'm not saying it. The literature, like I says, the part of the denial part says it in the literature. It says, it says that because of that type of behavior, eventually drugs and alcohol will follow. And that's why there was so much medication pills found in Kurt's room.
Black bag.
A black bag of medication. Hey? And on the last month, Auntie Leslie noticed, and I noticed, you can't be so much tired, feeling so much down, saying the job is draining me, this is draining me. Of course, but I understand you can get tired of work, but you can't get tired of doing your recovery. Hey? And we can't blame Auntie Leslie. I mean, if anything, myself and Auntie Leslie, we have our domestics, that's fine, but I love working with her. I got to know Auntie Leslie much more better and understand why she is the way she is. She was good to all of you, Auntie Leslie came here and tightened the screws. And you got paranoid for it because you got caught out on what you were stealing. Scrap metal. Money from people that is in the program, 3,000. Where's Christo's 3,000 rand? Where's Bruce's 1,000 rand that got withdrawn from his account? Hey? Where's Umsaki's money? Hey? It's no use you taking photos and showing me this is how you're working the finances or whatever. We must now fix all the problems and make things right. And we've done so well so far. Because the door today is still open for the still suffering addict to walk through these doors. You thought you were going to break this place. You didn't make this place, man. The last time I checked, Anthony with David all did. Along with other good people along with him. And to get a special visit from Auntie Karen today. Thank you for coming, Auntie Karen. Lovely message that you gave today. Nailed it down straight. Because the end times are coming. And this is what is happening when it comes to the end times. People that are close to you will turn on you. But you know what, Mr. Hall, Angus, Lincoln, Auntie Leslie, Uncle Brian. I got my brother Claude sitting here. We got Mrs. Hall there inside. It's not going to break us here. They didn't make this farm. This farm is governed and run by God, and these doors will always remain open. Some parents are asking me, why are you still with Mr. Hall? Can't you see that he's losing his nuts, that he's losing his... He's not right, he needs to go to for help or something like that. What help does Mr. Hall mean? Last time I checked, he helped your child. Now you're telling the same man that helped your child needs to go for help. Your child needs help, man. And maybe you also need to get booked in a facility to go for help. I think so strongly. Because if I must pick up the phone now and tell my mommy, look here mommy, Mr. Hall is wrong, I think I must come home. She's gonna tell me, go cuck yourself, man. I say it straight like it is. Because my mother and Mr. Hall comes on a very long way. She's not gonna listen to my cuck. In actual fact, the only time that you know an addict is heading for relapse is if he's complaining the whole time about everything. Because he's too blind to see what is there to be grateful in front of him. And that's why I started this meeting off with being grateful. I see there's a couple of people that were on this farm that are hopping onto the the bag wagon that you saw on of ramming Mr. Hall down. Let me just remind those people, don't burn this bridge, you might need this door again one day to come through here. Okay? Be humble and keep it simple, my brother, man. If you go to slippery places, you're gonna slip. If you go to slippery places, you're gonna slip. Isn't that right, Gladwin? Isn't that right, Goth? Isn't that right, Clutchy? Hey? I see you so all standing together with what Mr. Kurt, or not Mr. Kurt, sorry, Kurt Schuler.
Exclusive club.
The exclusive club now. You can't be exclusive and get bigger than this game. That's why I'm still on this farm. I'm here because I'm here on a calling to help people. I'll stand with Mr. Hall, thick and thin, no matter what. Even if he's wrong, because you know why? He stood for me when I was wrong, when I came in these doors, when my family never wanted me. And that's something all of you guys forget. And you came in here only with a toothbrush, Graham. Hey? With a toothbrush, my brother. And this is how you thank the man that tried and helped you. You were very close to him. And you, Kurt, got the best of Mr. Hall. You milked that man out. But it's not about the money or anything like that, man. Because those are materialistic things, but you guys are going on for money. You guys are going on about clothes. You guys are going on about, I don't know what else, man. It's irrelevant to me. Just take your sobriety and move on if you want to move on and let go, man. But stop ramming and speaking bad about this place and about Mr. Hall. Because the door is still open. We booked in a new person today. And that family is grateful that these doors are still open for the still suffering addict. And that's why I do what I do this evening. I sometimes also can get bigger than the game. That's why there's the Humble Pie program. And I'm willing to join it anytime. And to hop on to the Humble Pie program. Okay. So yeah, I'm just irritated, man. Because if this is the behavior you have now already, then nothing has changed, gentlemen. Then you're not working your recovery program. In actual fact, if you work all the 12 steps like you guys say you did, you don't need to come to meetings because you are the exclusive club. The last time I checked, meetings keep you sober. There are 5 pillars in the recovery card: step work, sponsor, meetings, and service. Service is one of the strongest foundations in our recovery. But you can't be of service to people if you're stealing from them. I'm sorry, man. Your spiritual condition immediately gets messed up because you are sensitive to lying and stealing. And it started off with that small cup of coffee that you steal in the kitchen. That's how it started off. It started off with bits and pieces with Mr. Hall. And let me hop on to the trips. Because I went on some trips with Mr. Hall. Beautiful! I met a lot of people. I love people. The best thing I can mingle with. I'm in recovery, I'm sober, I'm enjoying my life, and I have the opportunity to travel the world. This gum here that comes from the Cape Flats that only sees guns. Is it guns? Not pellet guns. Knives, buttons, and tukpakkies. Happen to have met a lot of people. Went to top restaurants, top hotels that people always ask Mr. Hall to get booked into. They weren't too humble enough to go sleep in a guest house because they must go to, what's that hotel's name now? Protea Hotel. The Marriott. No, Mr. Hall, let's go to the Marriott, Graham. Let's go there. You can pay, Mr. Hall. I'll just use your credit card, Mr. Hall. I'll just use this, Mr. Hall. I'll just take that from you, Mr. Hall. Yo. I tell you, for everything Mr. Hall did for you guys, this is how you think and repay you. Mr. Hall, I just want you to know, sir, from my side personally, thank you that this place is still here and it stands for what it stands for, sir. That you've empowered my life to be obedient to my calling. I found purpose, Mr. Hall. I'll continue to pursue this way. I won't promise you that I won't give you any trouble because like any normal human being, I will have a bit of niggles and griddles. But as long as I know that I have you by my side and my support, Mr. Hall, because 100% you stood behind me. Like 100% you stood behind each and every of those guys that I mentioned that left this farm. In actual fact, let me say it like it is, man. Mr. Hall doesn't really have anything against you. But he's not going to tolerate you guys speaking lies about him and ramming him down, ramming the place down. Because you had to see the state this place was left in for the guys that were in charge, the way they left here. And you must come and see how the place looks now. They lost interest in this farm because they were too busy stealing other people's money. Besides Mr. Hall's money, I'm talking about people that are in treatment here that came for help. Do you know what that does to a person's recovery? They came in here to come for help, the best place they could come. They wanted help, and then you get gentlemen that are in charge that steals their money. And doesn't have the decency to come even pay it back or to come say sorry to Mr. Hall. Because if you are in recovery like you say you are, then step 8 and step 9 says that you have to make amends. So work your program solidly and properly, not only when it best suits you. It says here from Ryan, 1.5 years sober today, I came into RAEL broken. Felt alone, no love, no fight, no nothing left inside of me. I just wanted to be left alone for death. Through this journey of recovery, Mr. Anthony David Hall and Mr. Kurt Schuler believed in me and believed that anyone can recover. I would really like to thank them today for everything they've given me. Grateful for a new life, happiness and love, peace. It's a feeling I can't always express. There's been many days I've wanted to give up, but everyone at RAEL and my family kept motivating me and told me that better days are coming. I now believe that there is a God who has grace on our lives. There is a God who I have faith in, who gave me the strength to do anything. All I want to do now is to give everyone struggling with addiction hope that anything is possible for any one of you, and that if you want recovery, RAEL is the place to get it. That was on the 18th of January 2021 when Ryan posted that.
What has changed?
What has changed last night when you gave that meeting that you spoke bad about the place? I don't know, my bro. Because what changed in that 2 months? Hey? You can't tell me Mr. Hall did that to you, man. Don't lie to me, my brother. Your spiritual condition got messed up when you started stealing with Kurt Schuler. Yeah, say it like it is. Because you knew he was busy stealing. That's why when you went on the trip with Mr. Hall on your last trip, you somehow came home and the Friday you left. Because you knew the chickens are coming home to roost. The pot is on fire, my brother. You're gonna get caught out here. You messed with people's lives. I'm sorry, man. God doesn't take that lightly. Because we are all God's children. But if you mess with their lives and their sobriety, then I'm sorry, my brother. Actually, I'm not sorry. You have to deal with God. So you can ram on and say what you want about this place. There you've just admitted now in an open statement that RAEL is the place to come to. Because I want you guys to take your own inventory. Huh? How many other treatment centers did you go to? And stayed as long sober as you are now? Like you claim to be. Because you relapsed in my eyes long time already when you started stealing from the people. I knew you were stealing long time already. I caught it on by the behavior. I could read between the lines. And that's the reason why you held people such as Lincoln, myself, Angus, to come up as leadership because you were afraid that they would find out things and see things the way it really is and report it to Mr. Hall. Let me tell you guys something that you didn't know. Do you think Mr. Hall never knew all along? Do you think that man is really that stupid? For you to even think that shows where you are at as well. Mr. Hall isn't a stupid man. He's been dealing with addicts for all his life. He himself is a recovering alcoholic and addict. But he gives the rope for you to hang yourself, and that's exactly what you did. So now how with that type of behavior can you want to go carry the message to the still suffering addict if you're stealing from people? I tell anybody not to take any advice from those people unless you want your child or whoever it is to relapse. Unless you don't want to give them hope. Because they are playing with people's lives. I say it straight like it is. Okay? There's something called the dry drunk syndrome. And those are the symptoms of the behavior that they picked up in the time that they were here. Do you know why? Because they stopped coming to meetings. They stopped giving meetings. That's where the biggest problem started, and they thought it's not a problem. They thought they part of the exclusive club because they all wanted to be Mr. Hall. But you cannot be Mr. Hall, myself included, because I haven't walked that journey. I maybe come from that part, but I didn't do what Mr. Hall did. Waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, starting RAEL in a chambucky and pamphlets, going to governments, going to live talks, being invited overseas, 24/7 recovery. I tell you something, Mr. Hall used to, when I came to the farm, I used to get up 4 o'clock in the morning. The man used to be sitting in his office, busy writing the schedule for today, what meetings he has to go to, what talks he has to do, from 4 in the morning, and the last person to go to bed, which is 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes pushes the whole 24 hours straight till the next day. And I sat there and I thought, where does this man get this energy? Because none of us can keep up with Mr. Hall. Do you know why? Because he's passionate about helping people. Because he's been God ordained and chosen. He runs on spirit. Not on materialistic, fleshly things. It's spirit. And a demonic spirit like you claim to be cannot give that type of thing because demonic decays, it destroys, it breaks down. A spirit of God perseveres you and pushes you through. Like Jesus, when he walked and got attacked by the devil for 40 days, never ate anything and fasted and never gave into it. Mr. Hall will never give into it. He's been doing this for 16 years. He will never fall. I won't make him fall. Lincoln will make him fall. Nobody can make him fall because this man stands for what he stands for, and I stand behind that. And that's to save another person's life, whether it's a recovering addict or a human being. Black, white, colored, rich, poor, doesn't matter where you come from. That's how passionate that man is about people. So all of you that hopped onto that bandwagon when you were first rooting for Mr. Hall, now you might change your story. Just shows where you are at as well in your life, in your recovery, if you are in recovery. Because you can't relapse if you're not in recovery. You all relapse in behavior. Klaar het so is. The only thing that you didn't do is just not pick up on the physical drug. And yes, you can must say I left here in relapse, but at least I didn't develop that behavior while I'm here in recovery. Working on my recovery. Because I give my all and my best. Like I gave my all and my best in my drug use. I give the extra mile in it in my recovery. So it's actually more bad for you to develop that behavior or relapse in that type of behavior without the use of mood or mind-altering substance. Then you want to blame Mr. Hall, casinos. You want him complaining when the Kroon was coming your way. When everybody got a cut. Here's 10,000 rand. Here's 5,000 rand. Here, extra 3,000 rand. Kurt, don't worry. You don't have to pay for the vegetables. I'll pay for it. Here's an extra top up on your salary. Here's cash on the side as well for you. Then you want to say about everything that I did for this farm, and I also paid for the food and whatever.
Saturday before he left, Mr. Hall gave him 2,000 rand.
Sure. I believe the Saturday before you left, Mr. Hall gave you 2,000 rand or so, Kurt. 2,000 rand on top of the money you were stealing from the people in the program. You and Ryan. On top of the scrap that you tried to make to Mr. Hall too about that you sold people's stuff. People's stuff that are in that workshop as well. Hey? Where's Freddy's stuff also? He's looking for parts of his... he doesn't know where it is. So you guys all took it to the scrapyard, man. Bucky up and down to Cape Town. Bucky's messed up. Hey? That's what you leave the man with. That's what you think of people. So I want to warn the family members of these guys that if they can use and do that to Mr. Hall that's been so good to them, it won't be long until they start doing it to you if they're not already doing it to you. Okay, I'm not here to break up a family or to ruin a family. I just want you to watch out for the signs. Because it won't be long and they're going to start complaining at home. Most of their things aren't liquor there at home. And eventually they're going to start taking. Because that spirit of demonic force of stealing as a character defect and lying has been activated fully, like someone that's been using drugs and alcohol. Fully activated. That's it. So I also went with Mr. Hall to casinos. There was no hookers. I never slept with a hooker. Mr. Hall didn't, Angus didn't. There was no hookers when I went on trips with Mr. Hall. Because we went to save people's lives. And yes, we popped in by a casino. We gambled. We won. We got money. We used the money. Some of it went back into the house like it always does. Some of it we used on ourselves. But we never stole from one another. And that's what you guys were doing. You're going to start stealing from each other. That's all that's going to happen. You can't want to open up a rehabilitation if you're in that state. What message do you have to carry? Besides a war story. I can also tell a war story here this evening, but I'm not. I'm telling the truth straight like it is. Because that's how all these gentlemen use Mr. Hall. That's it, straight like it is. You badmouth Mr. Hall. You took money from the guys from the tuck shop. You always kept us in the dark. You didn't want to give recovery meetings yourself because you thought you didn't need them. You recovered. Because you wanted to be Mr. Hall. You can't be Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall doesn't have to go to a meeting every night. But he gives meetings still. He still goes live. He still gives his meeting that he has to. He still does his 12-step meetings with other people. In actual fact, I remember Mr. Hall waking us in whatever time there was a meeting here on this farm every hour, 1 hour off, 1 hour meeting, 1 hour off, 1 hour meeting. That's why I know the steps back to front because Mr. Hall taught that to me.
Yeah.
But you all wanted to take a kroon with Mr. Hall. You all wanted to take a kroon from Mr. Hall. Huh? Put into practice and make a kroon of him. Nah, I mean, nothing has changed, gentlemen. Hey? I mean, like, let's not even hop on. Besides the trips that I went on with Mr. Hall. And yes, I had a lovely time. I met people. Mr. Hall gave me things and he gave me stuff. But I mean, like Graham and a couple of other guys, he took you overseas and paid for it in full. He didn't ask any money back from you. And he still paid you a salary on top of it. Hey? He paid your electricity bill for Kurt as well, as I see here. That's the stuff of that stuff that they're mentioning out. What about the stuff behind the scenes that we don't even see, that money that he gave to Kurt? The money that he gave to Graham as well. It's all just made werk of the man, all about the benefit. So what has changed, gentlemen? Because my recovery and spiritual condition is not based on a salary. In actual fact, the salary that I get here, I still help out with on the farm as well. Pay my bills like I have to do, like every normal human being has to do. I became a productive, responsible member of society because of the RAEL Farm, because of this program. I have someone like Auntie Leslie that's by my side as well. I still give the recovery meetings on the farm. Lincoln as well. You know? I don't complain about stuff like that. In actual fact, I don't even ask for the money back from Mr. Hall. Why must I? This is my home. Like it was your home also. You took it for granted. And when Mr. Hall pulled the plug on all of you and you had to enter the humble pie program, you weren't happy with that, and then Mr. Hall became the bad person in the whole scenario. Hey? Yo, the behavior showed in the signs of you speak of Kurt. I mean, like, Kurt was always a clean person. He came in when he got himself right there, a good person, did everything fine. He worked very well in the kitchen. Because I was here when they booked Kurt in. I was helping going through his stuff. And the way Mr. Hall empowered his life in less than a year for him to grow like that, was doing fine, but then he lost the passion. And he got greedy. And he lost interest in the farm. He lost interest in his sobriety. Bedroom was filthy. Clothes weren't folded. Didn't shower. Those are all signs. Those are all signs that people pick up. Always tired. A lot of medication in his room. Hey? Those are all signs, my brother. Then you want to go out here and say you want to open up a rehabilitation. Yeah, no, that's a good thought to have, and a good thing that you want to do. But you can't do it if you haven't done what Mr. Hall done. And that's stay sober. That's it. Because staying sober has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. You have to be in recovery. And for the behavior that you guys were practicing, or you could, you can't open up a rehabilitation like that, my brother. You lost interest in plugging yourself into the literature. I hope now that you have the time, like you say you do now, because apparently your job took out most of your time. Your job is part of recovery, I mean. Because I still have time to plug myself into recovery and do literature. I still do my 12 steps. But you lost interest in that literature.
You went to work and home did recovery meeting.
You understand? I was the one that, sure, I go to work in the morning. I come from work, I'm tired. But I still gave recovery meetings. I still did my step 10. And I still did my 12 steps. I still sat with my sponsor, Mr. Hall, and spoke to him. So you got bigger than the game, all of you, man. And I don't wish a relapse on anybody. The last thing I want to see is you guys fall into drugs and alcohol. But if you guys are going to continue spreading the lies and the manipulation, then eventually it's inevitable that eventually the physical part of addiction will kick in. If it has not already kicked in already. Because Graham already admitted to taking medication when he didn't need to take medication. That's a relapse, my brother. Because I don't suffer from addiction of a drug of choice. I suffer from addiction of more. I can't remember the last time I said no for any mood or mind-altering substance that came my way when I was in active addiction. My spiritual condition is so strong that I've lost the desire for using only because I practice these principles in all my affairs, even though when I don't like it. So many a times, you guys try to throw me under the bus. Maybe you got it right with Mr. Hall. I remember Kurt did it when I first started working here. This is lovely juice. Ah, lekker.
That was food.
Oh no, whoa. Yo, Auntie Leslie. It's another level thing, but I'll keep that one for another time.
Wat er is het? It's gewoon open here. This is long record.
Oh no, that's true, yeah. Mr. Desmo, they can't. I agree with you 100%. But I only lost the desire to stop using because I work this program continuously. Whether you take away from me, whether you give to me, it doesn't matter. I'm grateful that I have a sponsor like Mr. Hall that has that stern strict hand on me, that takes my phone in when I'm not being right, that cuts me short from the privileges. Because at the end of the day, I didn't come here to work for him. I'm here in my recovery. And if he sees I get too big for the game, then certain privileges has to get cut off. Plain and simple. Plain and simple, that's how it is. And it humbles you, and you get back in, and you tune yourself back in, and you get back up from it, and you do what you have to do. But you have to be consistent. You have to not get complacent, and that's what happened. Complacency creeped in. Apathy creeped in. Life became too boring. Always blaming Mr. Hall, never being here, so how must I do my job? This evening, or for this past 2 weeks, I've had the most best time with my job, but most importantly in my recovery, working with people that's also in recovery with me. And this farm looks beautiful today. I want to thank each and every person that has prayed for this farm, that stands behind this farm and supports what happens at RAEL, that supports Mr. Anthony David Hall for everything that he's doing. Angus, thank you for taking such good care of Mr. Hall also, my brother. I love you. You're taking very good care of the man that saved our lives, my brother. That's priceless. And here these nwatas wanna come for kroon. I see other mense also getuiging, Graham, they must come fetch his clothes here. Like they kappa 10 mense. Ja, nee, ek het ook die tree getrip, man. Ek het ook daar getrap waar julle gemaat het. Tot binne in die Cowboy Town. Ek ken ook die mense, man, ek kwaad vanaf. Ek het ook kry my nie 3 goue lites ook. I can also talk like that and be like that. But why? Why do I have to practice that type of lifestyle? Why do I have to practice that type of lifestyle? So, all these naysayers that are saying what they want to say, you just cannot continue saying it. I actually want to urge you, I give you more ammo to say and make up more stories that you want to make. It's not going to stop us from doing what we need to do here. It's not going to break us down, and it's definitely not going to break Mr. Hall down. The gravy train has stopped for you guys, and that's why you left. But you stole from people that are in treatment. I can't salute to that. You stole from Mr. Hall, the man that answered the phone when your family members needed help. I can't say salute to that. So everything that you've been taught on this farm to be a man of integrity, you threw it just like that away down the drain, your recovery. For what? For a simple couple of rand? Nee, wacht man. I believe that there's people going around bribing people. Mr. Hall didn't bribe anybody here. He doesn't definitely bribe me. Everything that I'm doing and saying here this evening is of my own will. I was the one that told Mr. Hall I have something to say to these guys. Because you have a kak trap, man. Nah, honestly. That's from bra to bra. You have a kak trap, man, bro. You got your sobriety, you got everything that you wanted, and you kick the man just like that on the curb. Kak trap, gentlemen. Don't come far in life with it. You should have learned in active addiction. Don't come forward with that type of behavior, but hey, it's your recovery. Eh? All I can do is just sit here and continue to carry the message and wish you all the best. I don't wish anybody to relapse. So, yeah, no, that's not all that I have to say. That's just what I wanted to touch on and to mention to those guys and let them know exactly where they stand. And continue doing what you guys are doing, but it's not going to bring you far until you come and make a right with Mr. Hall like you're supposed to make a right and apologize. Come apologize to the people you stole from you in the program. Because myself, Lincoln and Auntie Leslie and Mr. Hall have to fix up the mess that you caused here. And we're going to do it. We have done it. We're not going to stop doing it. So I think Lincoln also has something to say that he wants to share on. So I end it over to him. From my side, thank you very much. Hope you guys have a lovely evening.
Yeah, lekker idee, man. Couldn't have said it any better than that. I'm just gonna echo a few things that you touched on. You know, I wanna go back here to, you know, a lot of people don't think I have anything to say. The reason being is that I'm a quiet person. But a quiet person is a person that observes and looks and watches from a distance. And you know, in the time that the guys were running the farm and everything was going on, you know, my eyes are not closed, man. I was watching everything, man, as things unfolded, you know. But I'm not one to question the way Mr. Hall does things. He does things for his own reason, and who am I to question him? So I'm 18 months on the farm, you know, and I'm glad that AD was able to mention it, because I was thinking whether I'm going to mention these people's names. Ryan, you're 22 months sober, right? So that leaves us 4 months apart. So tell me, what in that 4 months was different for you to me, man? Because the rest of the 18 months that you were on the farm, we both had the same sobriety. We both walked the same walk. We did the same things. As a matter of fact, you talk about going out with Mr. Hall on his road trips. Yes, that was occasions, man. But that's not every single thing that you did on the farm in the 22 months. Because I know that you worked with me, under me, right? When we worked at Sandy's Eden on her projects, when we worked by Dr. Rihanna, when we were working at the Rotary Club, we all worked together, man. And those were long periods of time. So don't say that you're making it sound like road trips and going to casinos is all that you did in your recovery. That's not all that you did in your recovery, man. Recovery is not based on a few trips that you did here and there. And since this is going to be a factual share, right? I'm going to bring out the facts, right? Every trip was done for a reason. You make it sound like you went from one casino to another casino. Every trip was done for a reason. You want to know why? I know that, and I wasn't even on the trip. Because when you came back, you offloaded all the donations, man. Mr. Hall had to go fetch donations from far places. When he comes back, the lounge is packed with donations. Where's all that donations now? I asked Mr. Shula, I asked Ryan, the people that was in charge, where's all those donations? Where's all the clothing that was gone through? Some stuff we still have, and most of the stuff Mr. Hall gave away, because that is his nature. He gives. So everything that was given to him, he gave away. Now I ask you, man, was every single trip just from one casino to another casino? The other thing that I want to mention is that we don't only learn recovery from one person, man. People were complaining that, yes, they never got recovery on the road, there was no meetings and so on like that. But you know what? We don't learn from one person. I don't only learn from Mr. Hall. Because if that is the fact, then I don't have recovery. Because Mr. Hall did his trips, but when he came home, he used to give meetings. We used to sit in his meetings. As a matter of fact, a lot of the time when Mr. Hall used to finish his meeting, then everybody used to be empowered and they say, we missed those meetings, eh?
Yep.
We missed that meetings. Yes, sis, I need a meeting like that. But no, we never got any meetings here, Ryan. We never got any meetings here. Remember?
Yeah.
So I don't only learn from Mr. Hall, man. I learn from every single person on the farm. As a matter of fact, the person I learn the most from is the newcomer walking in by the door. Now, if your eyes is open to recovery, then you will understand that your eyes need to be on the newcomer, not on what Mr. Hall is doing, man. And what he has his personal life. And the reason I brought out my 18 months is because people think I don't have anything to say because I'm sectioned here for 2 years, right? Yes, I'm sectioned here for 2 years. So you guys probably are thinking, I don't have an option. I can leave. I can walk out those gates right now. But there will be consequences to my actions. Alright? Consequences to every decision I make, man. The same like for yourself, there's consequences. Now, when I walked in here 18 months ago, I already had acceptance, man. I accepted the place I was in. I accepted, and I handed my will over to Mr. Hall and said, Mr. Hall, I leave everything for you. You need to guide me now. This is the second time I'm at Rail. It worked for me the first time I was here because I stayed sober for 2.5 years. And for 2.5 years, so I know that what he has to offer will work. You know what the man offered me? Only his experience. That's all that he offered me. He never paid me a salary because I've never ever worked for him. Mr. Hall's never ever paid me. I've never been employed by Mr. Hall. I've been here for 18 months. 9 months into my recovery, I was put onto the sober living team. Leadership team. Sober living, leadership, management, whatever you want to call it. I'm not all up for the titles. It doesn't bother me. But I was put part of the sober living team. Now, in the sober living team, right, there was people that was working, that was getting money, not myself. And I also want to come back to people saying that Mr. Hall only looked for the benefit. I was also a full payer, man. I was a full payer that was sectioned here for 2 years. You do the maths. You do the maths, man. Now, I'm not paying at the moment. I'm sponsored by Mr. Hall at the moment. Reason being is because I've grown in my recovery. Now, for all those other people who complaining that, yeah, it was just about the money, I'm a full payer, Mr. Hall just wanted my money and that is why I got the benefit. I never went on any trips. I know Mr. Hall longer than all of you. I know Mr. Hall for 8 years. And let me tell you, let me add something to you, man. Knowing Mr. Hall for 8 years ago and today, Mr. Hall is still the same person. Nothing in his personality has changed. Nothing in how he does things has changed. And I told him that. I told him, Mr. Hall, how did you manage to get so far in 8 years, man? I mean, I was here 8 years ago and we ran, okay, I say we because at that time, I was one of the longest members on the farm and I used to help Mr. Hall run the farm 8 years ago. And we ran the farm, right, with no Wendy's on this farm, man. So for the people that want to come fetch their Wendy's, come fetch your Wendy's, man. It's not going to, like AD said, it's not going to stop the calling that needs to happen, man. Because this farm ran without any Wendy's on this farm, without any workshop on the farm. This is 8 years ago, man. We're talking now 8 years later. Things have gotten better. So things can only move forward.
Lincoln, you got weak, man. Come, man.
Things can only move forward, man. So I ask, you know what? Part of management's job, right? I'm talking about what Kurt, Schuler, and Ryan, because Mr. Hall was at the time where he wanted to hand the farm over to Mr. Schuler. He was going into retirement. This is something he was chasing a different calling, right? So the guys that were in charge, like Mr. Schuler, like Ryan, there was donations coming in. There was a lot of stuff that was happening. And where are those things now, man? Where is it now? I ask you. We got a storeroom. We got 2 storerooms filled with donations still. That still needs to go out. But you guys weren't doing your job, man. Like AD said, you got bored. You got complacent. You didn't get that enjoyment anymore. Mr. Hall wasn't around. He wasn't buying pizzas in the evening here. He wasn't having the special prize for the elite club. You know what I mean? Mr. Hall would occasionally invite a newcomer or somebody else 3 months in the program, come join us for the braai. You know, a lot of the things that Mr. Hall did, he did to see where every single person is in their recovery, man. If I mention that I don't like Claude, then tomorrow Claude is doing something that I was supposed to do. Just to test me, man. Now I'm doing something that you were supposed to be doing. Because that is how recovery works. We all know that this place is called RAEL, Recovering Addicts, which is myself, AD, Angus, every single person here that's recovering addict, empowering lives. Now, where does the word empowering lives? I want to touch on empowering lives. Under empowering lives comes leadership, responsibility. You can't now. we're not just going to throw you in the deep end and say, okay, a newcomer, you can be a manager. Right? No, you can't. That's not how you empower. It's step for step. Step for step. So you get small responsibilities. And if you can't handle those small responsibilities, it's taken away from you. Simple as that. It's just taken away from you. Sorry, hello to everybody. I don't think I've greeted everybody.
That's fine,
this evening.
bro.
The other thing is, what you do with what Mr. Hall gives you is up to you. Right? He's going to give you the seed. You plant it. You water it. You make sure that it grows. That's all he's going to do. He's just going to give you the seed. Now, Mr. Hall has given me many opportunities. And I haven't gone on any trips. I haven't been management. But I've gotten many opportunities. I've just been doing what I have to do. My recovery. So what is my biggest benefit, man? Right? Now, 6 months ago, as everybody knows, Mr. Hall approached me and he told me, Lincoln, do you want to do the caring course? I said, yes, Mr. Hall. I grabbed the opportunity with everything. Now, a lot of other people also grabbed opportunities. But what did they do with that opportunity that was given to them? They abused it. They used it. They milked it forever. Then they got bored and then they threw it down the waistline. Now, I'm sorry, but I walk away today with a qualification. Angus walks away with a qualification. Graham, you walk away with a qualification. A qualification, man. I never, ever in my life have to go look for a job, man. That is what empowering lives is about. That is what RAEL stands for. That is what RAEL does. RAEL does not stand for recovering addicts, we give you jobs. We empower you to work. We empower you, or enabling you. That's not how RAEL works. Ryan, the day that you got the job by Mr. Hall to be general manager, let me remind you and take you back to that day. Mr. Hall's words were, Lincoln, you and Ryan were the two that I was going to choose. I chose Ryan and I gave him the opportunity. That was the second chance around. I looked at it as, you know what, I'm still going to be here for another couple of years. It's all right. If you mess up, I might be able to get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going anywhere like everybody say. I'm not here. I don't have a choice, but I do have a choice. I choose to be here because I know that I see Mr. Hall when I see Mr. Hall, and Mr. Hall gives me recovery when he sees me. But I don't only get recovery from Mr. Hall. I get recovery from AD. I get recovery from every single person here on the farm. Even the newcomer. So don't sit on your pity potty, man. Don't sit on your pity potty all the time. Don't, because of how your situation turned out for you. Remember, me and AD are doing the books now. Not the books per se, but we're helping out. And what is unfolding at the moment is sickening from what we can see. What we found out already. It's crazy. I feel sorry for you guys, really I do. It saddens me. I've listened to the shares as they've been coming out. I've been listening to the guys, and you all sound like, I just want to say that this is how my life is now. Unmanageable.
Without drugs.
And Mr. Hall took me to casinos. Mr. Hall took me to casinos. And Mr. Hall took me to casinos. If that is all that he did, then fuck, man. And then I don't know what happened to myself in the 18 months that I've been here, because Mr. Hall done a hell of a lot for me. As a matter of fact, he threw me birthday parties. He took me, he took money out of his pocket to send us on hikes. We went down to rivers. We went down to the bars. We had so much entertainment here, man. It's a lot more than what you are saying. So if you're going to tell the truth, tell the full truth.
Yep.
Because you know what? I didn't go on trips. I never got paid a salary. But I walk away with a qualification.
Stay.
Do you understand where I'm going with this? Now Mr. Hall can give every single person that opportunity. And he was planning to do bigger things for the guys that left. There was bigger plans, but you guys walked away from those plans. Who knows where you would have been today? But everybody, you know what? I'm not blind, like I said. Everybody could see how you guys were acting in your behavior. As a matter of fact, I point out Mr. Schuler. Mr. Schuler was so devoted after his wedding because that was the biggest thing that he had to do. It was the last biggest thing. He already moved house. He bought his car. He got his car fixed, and he got the wedding. Mr. Wall did all of that, right? So there was no more big things in Mr. Schuler's life left
Schuler, man.
or Schuler or quote whatever in his life to be done, right? So now he's at a standstill in his life because all that's left now, guess what? Is to continue to do the work that he's supposed to do. Get paid the same salary. Where is he going to get paid the salary that he was getting? I have no idea.
And extra
And extra.
on the sides.
As a matter of fact, not only extra, anything he wanted, man. He just said
Anything, he just had to
anything
ask
he
Mr.
wanted, Mr. Wall gave it to him.
Correct, so.
Anybody could have done the work that he did, but he did it well. I'll give him that much. He gave good meetings when he gave meetings, and he did his job well
In the beginning.
in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Yeah, but as things got to the end, I don't know. People, he's tend to have blamed Auntie Leslie for revealing certain things, man. Defects of character. Character defects surfaced. His untidiness. Auntie Leslie is a neat freak.
Yeah, 90.
So that untidiness automatically started showing, man. And he couldn't handle it. The man, 2 days before he left, was in tears with me. Saying, I can't handle Auntie Leslie. What am I doing wrong, Lincoln? I told him straight. I told him, you know what? Myself and Auntie Leslie, we also clash. Because we also have a controlling nature. We also have our defects of character. But we learn to get along with each other. So stop blaming people, man. Stop blaming the next person. You can't do this, you can't do that.
It's the same thing you did in active addiction.
100%.
I was never naughty.
Yeah, I'm getting warm here, Lincoln. I want to speak again.
You want to have a chat, my bro?
Just a quick lightly salted.
So the last thing that I want to say is that the one thing, the only thing that Mr. Hall gave away for free, no? The only thing that he gave away for free was his experience. 16 years of experience that he shared with every single person. That's the only thing that Mr. Hall gave away for free. Everything else, Mr. Hall had to dig in his pocket.
Hey.
And every single person that left here benefited. I didn't benefit in the 18 months, apart from my qualification financially. So I leave you with that. It's not always about the kroon, man. Look a little bit deeper. Look at, like AD said, take your own inventory. Look at your part on everything. AD wants to share something, I'll leave it with him. So thank you guys. And stop this, man. Really. It's sickening.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna close in prayer. And pray for everybody, you know. Let's pray for the people that wronged us as well, you know, because they also need a lot of prayer and a lot of work, you know. And hopping on what Lincoln said, yeah, no, stop it, man. Just stop it, guys, please, man. You're making a fool of yourself more than what you ever were before, because you already did it when you were here, and now you're doing it much more after you've left here. And pity party and sitting with... Look here, man, if you want to leave and be with your family, then be with your family and leave us alone and leave Mr. Hall alone and let him do his thing, man. You understand, my brothers? Okay? So just leave it and throw it down the drain, man. It's not about who's going to win, sending me voice notes of flawless victories like some sort of Mortal Kombat malice. I don't get it, man. It's mad, my bro. I don't know what competition they're trying to run here, man. You know, because you lost the day that you gave up your sobriety and you gave up your spiritual condition because you're blaming one man for it. If one man like that has your key, like you blame Mr. Hall, then every person has your key. You're blaming everybody else. The same thing that you did in active addiction. Then what has changed, man? Because we thought we didn't have a problem until the drugs ran out. You thought you never had a problem until the benefit went away. Now work that one out, man. Hey? Mr. Hall gave everything to all of us. He still gives us everything. Hey? For free, like Lincoln said. He's not afraid to put his hand in his pocket. If you think his money comes from this farm, you went to go and blame Mr. Hall using people's money to go and gamble with. You and I both know Mr. Hall doesn't make money off this farm, and I know where his money come from. If you do also, then stop making that lies. If you don't, then keep your mouth shut, man. Because the money doesn't come from this farm. The last time I checked, I'm sponsored here fully. That's like 400,000 rand 3 years. Or 500,000
Did them do the
rand.
maths?
Yeah, now you can do the match. You're so good at stealing, so do the match yourself, man. Because you also got sponsored fully. Okay. So stop it, man, guys. You're making a fool of yourself. It's just from one bra to another bra, man. Straight. Leave Mr. Hall out of this. He's a good man, man. That man's been good to all of us here. All of us. And the way you're twisting these words, turning this whole thing, and manipulating the situation. I don't know if you want more money, because you're not going to get money, man. What, has your crew and ran out that you stole? Because eventually it's going to rot, eh? And you're going to have to go look for a job. And based on your last previous, you might have what qualification, but if you, how can I say, what do they call it when they do a checkup to see where your previous
Criminal
work was,
record.
or your criminal record is not in line, then I don't know, my brother. That's not Mr. Hall's fault. Take responsibility. You're not responsible for your disease, but you are responsible for your recovery. My name is Adrian, and I'm a recovering addict empowering lives. Blessed by Mr. Hall, loved by Mr. Hall, and taught by the best, which is Mr. Anthony David Hall, in addiction recovery. Thank you, Lincoln, for your part as well. Thank you, Auntie Leslie, as well. Thank you, Angus. I hope you guys have a liquor evening. I'm going to pray for us. Let's just come quiet before the Lord, please. Yes, Father God, forgive us if anything that was said this evening was out of turn, Lord. Forgive us if anything that was said this evening might have hurt someone personally. But Lord, we had to speak the truth like it is, my God. We do see that the enemy is trying to use people to break us down here, Lord. Lord, I ask that you remove that and break that chain immediately, to remind the enemy he has no authority over our lives. We've been saved by you, the one and only God. And we look up to you for that, God. I would like to pray for the people that are lost, Lord. For the people that left here, each and every one of them, our God. Please be with them and their families. Comfort them in this time. Take the scales off their eyes, Lord. And let them see the light again, and let them see your glory working through other people as well. And also allow them to see the glory work through them as it once did before, Lord. Any day a spiritual time and handing over and surrendering to you can happen. Let them surrender this evening. Forgive us if we did anything wrong today, Lord. But just ask that you give us strength to allow us to overcome any attack or scenario coming our way, Lord. For each and every person that was on this hall that watch, I pray for them as well. Thank you for their lives and their family, my God. May everything that has been spoken just touch them and let them minister with it and realize and work out the truth for themselves, God. To realize that we are all King's kids, especially Mr. Hall, Lord. Thank you that he has been obedient till this day, till this hour, to your calling and doing what he's doing, not allowing any still suffering or struggling addict or recovering addict break that or take that away from him, God. Thank you for Mr. Hall's sobriety, Lord, and that he's still sober and clean today, my God. I ask that you be with him and comfort him in this time. I pray for Mrs. Hall that's inside there on the pet. Pray that you touch her and that you heal her. I pray for the doctor as well. Thank you for all that she does for us, that you give her the strength for the doctor to do what she does for us, my God. Amen. Thank you that you use her and minister through us as well. We want to lift her up to you, my Lord, for the behind the scenes work that she's doing for us, Lord, for the rail farm as well. Thank you for that, God. I'd like to pray for the leadership on this farm. And I'd like to pray for God, she was here today, God, that she brought a beautiful message to each and every one of the guys on the farm, and for her help and for her support as well in everything that we're doing here on Rail. I pray for Rail in general, Lord, that you continue to cover it with the blood of Jesus, and that you lift it up, Lord, so that the doors can still be open for people that needs help and struggling with addiction to be reunited back with their family, allowing all the glory to go to you. I pray this all in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for your time.